I'm going to call this meeting of the Ascension Parish Planning Commission to order. It's October the 9th, 2024, 6 o'clock p.m. We're in the Ascension Parish Courthouse, 607 East Worthy Road, Gonzales, Louisiana, in the council chambers on the first floor. We do a roll call, please.
Michelle Unitas. Mark Billa. Present. Nicholas Miller.
Here.
Max Nassar.
Here.
Wade Scheck-Snyder.
Here.
Randy Kluot.
Here.
Julio Dumas.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kluot, would you, I'm sorry, introduction. Yeah, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Kluot.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the next item on the agenda will be the introduction of staff. Stacy, would you start, please?
Stacy Webb, Recording Secretary for the Planning Commission.
Jarius Carey, Information Technology.
Spencer Long, Parish Attorney.
Eric Poche, Director of Planning and Development.
Sean Sherrow, Engineering Review and Agency.
Okay, thank you very much. Chairman's comments. I don't really have any comments except to say that I hope everyone keeps the victims of the past hurricane and the coming hurricane, including the ones we've had, in their thoughts. Next item is public comment on any agenda item. Stacy? Any comments on any agenda item? No. Okay, very good. Next item will be the staff report. Mr. Poche?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll see in front of you the normal subdivision status report for October of 2024. Nothing has changed from prior months. We have a couple of subdivisions that are going through construction now. And the only other new one that we have is Ascension Commerce 2 on the old Buzzard Roost property that was recently approved. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions from the commissioners? Thank you, Mr. Poche. Is there an engineering staff report?
There's no report this evening.
No report on the engineering. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the minutes from the August 14th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Motion by Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Scheck-Snyder. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, let's just cast our votes. We're gonna do them verbally tonight. We're not gonna use the machine. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? None. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is the consent agenda. That would be an affidavit of mortgage declaration. Donovan J. Gregoire and Kristen Taylor Gregoire. Lot B11A2. That's at 8410 Paul Road, Santa Monica, Louisiana. Second item is an affidavit of mortgage declaration, Raul E. Valdez, lots 33 and 34, Camp Drive, Prairieville, Louisiana. Any of the commissioners want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Villa, second by Mr. Miller. Sorry, I'm too slow on that. Motion is approved. The motion is to approve has been made. Cast your votes on that, please. Consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Y'all asked me not to use the machine tonight. Now y'all want to use the machine.
No.
Okay, we're going back to the machine. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing to approve or deny the following family petitions. Whitney J. Amedee Jr. property LA1A1 and LA1A2. That's Earlson Associates, and it's in Council District 4.
Yes, how you doing? James Faglewood, Earls and Associates, representing the Amedee family on the following family partition, asking the commission for approval.
Any questions from the commissioners? No questions? Okay. This is a public hearing to approve or deny the following family petition. Whitney J. Amedee Jr. property, lot A1A, A1A1, lot A1A1 and A1A2. Is any member of the public wishing to speak? Public hearing is closed. Commissioners, have a motion? Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Kluwat.
Mr. Chairman?
Second by, Mr. Chair.
One item is that the strip that's going to the rear property, that there's a 30-foot width on that. The minimum requirement is that it be a 30-foot servitude of passage plus a 12-foot utility servitude. Because they only own 30 feet of property, they're requesting a waiver to allow them to put the utility servitude, a 10-foot utility servitude within the 30 feet, along with a 20-foot servitude of passage. So any motion, if you want to grant that waiver, that would have to need to be included in the motion.
Okay, so the motion was made by Mr. Kluwat. Do you agree with that?
Make a motion to approve along with the waiver.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion. I just wanted staff, you don't have any objection to that request, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. Any discussion from commissioners? Okay, let's cast our votes. We're gonna use the machine this time, just to confuse everybody. Well, y'all kept reaching for the machine, so, you know. Okay, somebody didn't vote. Mr. Kluwat, Mr. Schexnayder. Okay, there we go. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is item B, Thomas L. Stafford property, lot C4A1A through C4A1D. Again, that's Earls and Associates, Council District 4.
James Fargo again, representing Earls and Associates and Stafford family on the following family partition, asking the commission for approval.
Any questions from the commission? Okay, this is a public hearing on the Thomas L. Stafford property, lots C4A1A through C4A1D. Any member of the public wish to speak on this particular item? Okay. Public hearing is closed. Commissioners? Yes.
The servitude of passage, it's got to go all the way to C4A1A.
There's an existing five-lane servitude that dead ends at the property, so that southern lot will be accessing it from the other servitude of passage.
But they're not part of the plat.
Huh?
But they're not part of the plat, but they already have access from there?
Yeah, that lot already, the access dead ends right there at this property. So technically, there's two accesses to this original track.
Staff?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Mr. Dumas, second by Mr. Schexnayder. Is there any discussion amongst the commission? Okay, let's cast our votes, please. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. The next item on the agenda will be item C, W. E. Stevens Estate, Lot 5A and 5B. Again, Earls and Associates. This is in Council District 6.
Yes, representing Mr. Robert Nickens on the following family partition, asking the commission for approval. We're just subdividing his roughly 2.4 acre tract into two lots, one for the front portion where his daughter, where she used to live at one time.
Any question, comment by the commission before the public hearing? Okay, this is a public hearing on item C, W. E. Stevens Estate, Lot 5A and 5B, Earls and Associates. Anyone wishing to comment on that particular item? Sir?
Yes, sir.
Please. And please state your name and your name and address, please.
Yes, sir. My name is John Vernon. I am a retired school teacher, retired deputy from Ascension Parish. I'm also a Vietnam vet. I have a handicapped wife. I live on the corner of W. Bill Stevens Road and the Servitude Road. Right now, the Servitude Road is 25 feet. If you add another 5 feet onto it for the servitude, you're going to have to cut down the oak tree that's right at the end of my home, my mobile home. You're going to have to replace my septic tank, because that would be within the 5 feet. I guess you're gonna have to replace my cement slab and garage, because that will be within the 5 feet. And we haven't gotten to my neighbor who lives there, and he would have to replace his garage and part of his fence. So I'm against the 30-foot extension. They've been driving on that road for over the 30 years that I've been there. I'm a transplant here. I'm not from this community. I'm a redneck from Tangipahoa Parish. But I came over here to teach school and joined the sheriff's office when the kids drove me crazy. So I've been here 30 years, and I love this place. I got my little slice of heaven down there. I got my few goats and chickens and stuff like that. And I don't need the back end of my property cut off. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for your service. I'm a transplant too, but I'm a river rat.
Yeah.
Mr. Earls,
Yeah, we're not.
go ahead.
There's an existing servitude there. They're not going to be adding to the road. Whatever's there is now is going to stay there. I mean, they've accessed that front property via what's there now. It's an existing 30-foot servitude of passage. Is the you could tell the mobile home, and both of those mobile homes were built over the servitude from the very beginning. I mean, they're existing non-conforming. They've been there. I don't know if you remember, about 4 or 5 years ago, we had a problem with this. It was divided and sold illegally because it wasn't approved by the parish, and went to come back and correct it. I think you remember that, and that was a big ordeal with that. So we're not creating anything that's not already out there.
Okay, anyone else wishing to speak on this item? This is your chance. And by the way, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but during the public hearing, you have 3 minutes to speak, okay?
My name is Adrian Polk, 44090 W.E. Bill Stevens Road. As long as the servitude is not being widening, so I don't lose where I park, then we're fine with it being divided.
So you're not opposed if the,
As long as they don't change the servitude, we are not opposed for it being divided.
okay?
Like I said, the servitude's existing. It's an existing servitude. We're not increasing it in width. It's there. It's been a 30-foot private servitude of passage for 4, 5, 6 years minimum. So we're not, like I said, we're not, the driveway's existing. They're not going to add to it.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak either in favor or in opposition to this item, or anything else related to this item?
Before you hit it one more time.
Okay, I'll give you another minute. You get 1 minute.
It's not gonna take long. You said that there's an existing 30-foot servitude.
You have to come to the mic, please. Yes, sir, that's okay. Go ahead.
He said there's an existing 30-foot servitude, but the plot map that I have, that I got from the clerk, says it's a 25-foot servitude. Now, he's an expert. I'm not. All right? But I'm just going by what's on my
Like I said,
map.
Like I said, we're not creating anything new on anybody else's property except our client's property. So once you get to that dead end where the property is, that's where they're extending the servitude to that back piece. Nothing's gonna be changed from where our client's property starts. What's existing out there is staying there. They're not increasing anything. Yes, sir.
Okay, once
I'm
again,
good with that.
thank you.
sir.
Once again, anyone else in the public, before I close the public hearing, want to speak? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Commissioners, you have any questions for? No. Any motion?
I'm happy to see this finished.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Schexnayder. Almost said Waggisback again.
Yep.
Any discussion amongst the commissioners? Any questions? Okay, let's cast our votes then. Motion to approve, right?
Thank y'all.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is old business. And do we need a motion to to address the old business? Okay.
No.
Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Bill.
I'm gonna recuse myself from this discussion as I did last
time they were here, abstained from.
Okay, so let that, make a note, please, that Mr. Villa abstained. The item is the Pelican Point Gulf Community Full DIS, this is Drainage Impact Study Scope. Yes, sir. You are?
Corey Blanchard with Quality Engineering.
Okay. And you are representing the owner?
Developer.
Okay, applicant, go ahead.
So it was a request from the previous planning commission to perform a drainage study, an updated drainage study on this property. As you're aware, that the drainage study that was approved for this property is, over 20 years old. So an updated drainage study at this point is a bit challenging to try to duplicate or replicate the results that are, dated in terms of the hydrology on the site. Our proposal is to perform a drainage study that can analyze the critical aspects of the infrastructure on this property, being the detention ponds, survey all of the approximately 40 detention ponds on the property, verify that the volume is correct, everything is accurate per the approved drainage study. The outfall for all of the detention structures are per the approved drainage study, and then the conveyance from the outfall structures to the ultimate discharge to Panama Canal are in good condition and haven't been altered or in need of maintenance.
Okay, before we go on, let me make sure that everyone understands that there's not a public hearing on this item. Public hearing's already been held, so this is just a
Correct.
discussion for us. So I want to make that clear to everyone. Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Blanchard? Okay, that's the owner. I'm going to ask the staff for their report and recommendation,
Yes, sir.
including
Thank you.
engineering.
I would like to first go back through, as Mr. Blanchard said, back in 2019, the commission stated to the developer that before they came back with another master plan revision, they needed to do a full drainage and traffic impact study. So traffic impact study has been completed. When that request was made and reiterated back again when they came back in February, the specifics of the request were not as clear-cut as we would have liked. We got together, staff proposed a few things, and the developer came back with a question. And the main reason that we're here is to allow Mr. Blanchard to explain his position. We will have Sean Chereau explain the parish's position, and then ultimately, we would like for you to make a decision and provide some specifics as far as clarity on what they are to include in that drainage study. And with that, you can allow Mr. Chereau to.
Yeah, Mr. Shura?
Yeah, so we went back on this. I mean, the original request, we used different terminologies, assess drainage analysis, so we went back to the original planning commission. We felt the request was to assess the drainage of the community before we allow more development. It sounds simple, we say it out loud, but it's very vague. And so we felt, you can see our dated letter, August 19th, we were going back and forth, is like, what do we feel the planning commission was seeking? Is this to go pop every single drainage lid in the entire 800, massive Pelican Point community, peep their head inside there, see if there's cracks, deficiencies, go towards mailbox areas? Is there pontoon water? Is that a problem? To address, some people says, I got some water that stands too much. That level of detail, go to every parking lot, every drive. We're like, I don't know. I felt that was possibly what the direction we were going. So we dug it more with, you see my letter August 9th, and it's like reaching out to Eric. So we feel that it's somewhere in this territory of what we're looking for. And then we went back and talked with QES and said, our interpretation of the need, we're going to assess every pond, everything they got in their letter. It's a very well-written letter explaining. We feel this is addressing the needs and the wishes of the Planning Commission of making sure the infrastructure, the drainage infrastructure, which is the ponds, the large conveyance pipes, the things that drain and protect the community, that is adequate. Not every little side backyard ditch and chasing all the golf course pipes all over the place. I'm like, that does make sense. I believe that is above and beyond just the back end of development to assess the entire drainage system of the whole Pelican Point. I felt that was a great thing. It was going to be a benefit for the community, but Eric and I talked, said, but we're trying to achieve something we felt is the wishes of the Planning Commission. This would be a good time to come back to you all and feel, we agree that the appropriate direction is what QES is communicating in their letter, is to assess the entire storage capacity of the entire community, all the drainage structures in the community, and anything that's new in the further back. It's a more detailed study, but that's a whole different ballgame. And so we felt that's an appropriate direction to go, is to assess the front end and the back end to the level of detail they have in their letter. But before we don't go too far down this path and show up in 2 months and 3 months on the next thing and saying, yeah, the study's good, and then this planning commission's like, well, that's not what I'm asking about. I've got people saying, why didn't you meet with them about ponding near a mailbox or a side street or a private courtyard or this and that? We just want to get too far down the line without checking in with you all, because this is your all's wishes or request. And I believe that's the main purpose of the meeting. I know it's more of an action, just we're going towards the direction that QES has submitted in their letter of analyzing the capacity. We feel that's appropriate, and that's a great thing, for the whole community to have. You're protected by your storm drainage system, or, hey, there's a reason why you may have some flooding problems in the front because the pond is a little undersized or got clogged up, or someone accidentally dinged it or modified the control structure, and then we can make some decisions based on that information. But not every backyard pipe, not every side pipe, not the entire golf course community, that level of detail. Felt that was just, we'd never get to an end. So,
Okay, so for the commission, and obviously, this is, I can't make this like a directive, but I'd like to try to wrap this up. It's been going on a long time. Yes, I'll get to you. It's been going on a long time, and even the short time I've been here, these folks have been up to see us a couple of times. So, I'd like to try to do something to wrap this up so we don't have to continue to deal with this, and they can either go forward or abandon what they're trying to do, right? So I just wanted to make my wishes known, but Julio?
I remember this hearing well. And I'm the guilty party that made the
Oh,
motion.
there we go. So you want to know what the planning commission's wishes were? There he is.
So I will
Yes,
be-
I have to say, it was
I will be
Mr.
short
Dumas.
and sweet to the point. It was not my intention at any time that you would go back and survey every culvert, every inlet on the roads or anything like that. I think the summary on this letter is every bit of what I intended in my motion. I never intended for the developer of Pelican Point to go back and reassess every swale on the golf course, every inlet or anything like that. It was really to go back and essentially verify, is the capacity there? Is the outflow correct? Your summary in the letter is spot on. It's exactly what I intended it. It was a long day, it was a long hearing, and, and really a short and sweet motion was easy. So,
CSRS is one of the staff.
I'm
So-
sorry, go ahead.
so what Sean's letter addresses all the concerns that I had at the time, and I would recommend to the commission that this is what my intention was when I authored the ordinance originally. So,
I'll make a
Wait,
motion to
just
accept CSRS.
a minute. They didn't recognize you yet.
thank you.
Thank you. Before you make a motion, I want to ask the applicant's engineers. So we have, and Jose, you're talking about, when you say the letter, you're speaking of the CSRS letter that was to us. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so what I want to ask is for a comment on that from the representatives here, because we have a quality engineering letter and we have a CSRS letter, and I'm not sure that I am digesting all this the way I should. So if you have seen the CSRS letter, are you in agreement with that? Do you have a problem with it? Or what is it that, as the engineer for the developer?
I mean, just the clarification of the things we talked about. I mean, their letter mentions, subsurface network ditches. Just the clarification that that's really limited to outfall structures from the ponds, ditches from the ponds that are leading to the ultimate outfall from the site into Panama, not interior ditches and swales and roadway culverts. But, really our letter is just, that clarification that the focus is from the capacity point, the control structures, to the ultimate discharge.
Okay. Mr. Sherrill, did you want to be recognized?
Yes, what I heard from Julio, I was with him until he says, I agree with everything that CSRS just said. My letter on August 9th was the interpretation that there's a desire to assess all drainage elements on the entire site of Pelican Point, all outfalls, all ditches, everything. And then when I felt from Hurley, it was like, well, that's not what I intended. My intended is really what's more appropriate is what QES is proposing. Not everything in the whole community, just the key major drainage features, pond storage, pond control structures. And what I feel I heard from Mr. Julio here is, yeah, I didn't want everything popping every manhole lid, which is what my letter thought that's where you wanted. And they sort of got his course corrected. I felt it's in alignment with, it's just assessed the major. So if y'all in agreement, which I thought Julio said, is like it's more of the bigger picture assessment is what we're needed, then that's more clearly described in QES's letter, not CSRS's letter, because I have a statement number 1 that uses the word all drainage features, all, and that's where it got really, as engineers started communicating. When you mean all, like everything, let's describe what we mean by all. Is their letter is a more specific version of what's more appropriate. So
Okay.
we're going the direction. I'm recommending the direction of what's dictated in communicating QES's letter. And we thought that's the appropriate studying, but we don't go too far down that path without check-in versus all versus major elements.
Okay, before we have a motion, Julio, but before we have a motion, because I want to talk to these guys again, but go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, I wanna be very clear, I did not intend to do every culvert, every inlet, or anything like that. Only the major features, only the outfalls, only the ponds, to make sure that the capacity was there. That's it. For them to go back, bear in mind that some of those streets, the parish is maintaining, so as well as the drainage in those streets. So, no, I didn't intend for that. I intended, okay, if it's a QES letter, then I stand corrected.
Okay, so, with that being said, and before we accept the motion, Mr. Miller, before we accept the motion, I want you to restate what you said a minute ago about what the intended scope is. I want to hear that from you.
I mean, essentially, it's everything we have outlined in our letter, the QES letters we're talking about. It's the clarification that it's not the internal infrastructure upstream of the detention structures. It's everything from the detention ponds downstream, from that point out to the outfall conveyance at Panama Canal.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Miller?
Make a motion to accept the QES's scope.
Okay, we have a
Outline
motion.
their letter.
And we have a motion from Mr. Miller. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Dumas. Do we have any conversation? Commissioners, any conversation? Okay, cast your votes, please.
I need to abstain?
No, Mr. Miller.
Oh, Villa. I
Okay,
thought you said Miller.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're both pretty good looking as well. I can see what that.
And then he would have said Mr. Nasser. The motion passes. It's 6 yeas with 1 abstention, Mr. Villa. And to the owner here, the applicant, I hope when y'all come back, we can move on to the next step.
Motion to adjourn.
Sounds good.
And we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved, or seconded.
It's been a pleasure.